So I'm getting ready to do cab corners and rockers in this Jewel. It's 2011 with 280,000 miles. And they're gone. A couple things to mention to make this easier is roll all your windows down, so when you lift them off you have something to grab through too. Wire connectors are here. You gotta pop that plug out, pop the switch or the connector out. I pulled the bed because I'm doing cab corners too, because they're shot. And you can't do the cab corners unless you have the bed out. Can't do the rockers unless you have the doors off. I mean, you probably could if you wanted to, but there's really not much room there. So I'm taking all 4 doors off, the bed off. This had the backup camera, so you gotta unplug that. Wire back here. Gotta pull the tail lights out. Gotta pull the, well, this one had a plug in the bed for the trailer, as well as a plug back here. That's just, on the short beds, it's just 6 bolts. One here, here, and one at the front. And you gotta have a long extension to go down through that hole down there. It's had the gooseneck hitch, so I'd pull those pins out, your safety chain hooks. That's about it. Oh, and on the stupid fuel tank fill, this I don't have a problem with. Like, this is just a quick deal. It's got clips. You just pry it around in like a circle to get it out of the bed. This is where I have the problem. It connects to the bed through there, but to get to it you have to lay from underneath and reach your hand way up in there, and it's a 10 millimeter on the back side of this, so you can't really use anything but a wrench. I've got one of those Milwaukee ratchets, and I was able to get onto it at an angle and just barely get it. But you can't get it with a fender liner on the bed, and you can't get it to it from up through the hole, because I tried pushing this around through to where I could get to it, and I just couldn't get anything on it. They used to have like just torque bolts that go in here, at least the Chevys did. I don't know about, yeah, I think the Dodges had that too, on the 2nd gens at least. But this is a 4th gen, so there's different things. That's about it. Let me preface this by saying I've never done cab corners and rockers before. Never even helped on a set. I have done bedsides. They were simple in the fact that they weren't hard to do. They were just very time consuming. I think it took me 7 hours per side to cut them off and finish them. I don't remember. I didn't paint it though. Somebody else painted the truck. But I drilled all the spot welds in that truck, and it was a pain. I think it took me just 7 hours to get them off, and getting back on welding them wasn't that big a deal. But they also didn't fit, so they just weren't very good. These cab corners and rockers I got fit pretty good. For as being they were the cheapest ones on eBay I could find. But they don't fit too awful bad. They seem to line up. And I think once I get them cut out, I'm gonna cut it at the same time I cut the old ones. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clamp this on there as tight as I can, and then cut through both pieces of metal, and then weld them up. That way, I'm thinking that the zip cut will leave just enough of a gap that once these are laid in place, since they're over it, it's going to be a gap, but once they're laid in place, it's going to scoot closer all the way around. And I'm thinking that the gap will line up perfect. I don't know. We're going to try it. If I screw it up too bad, we'll just part the truck out. It's probably worth more in parts than it is alive anyway, because it's got 280,000 miles, and I've got it on there for a lot less than book value. Tried to sell it for the last 3 months, and I have had not one person show up. So my last attempt at either keeping it or selling it, I don't know yet, will be cab corners and rockers and paint. So we'll see. Well, I've gone ahead and gotten all the spot welds drilled out. You can see I went right, well, those aren't all right there. That's what they look like to begin with. And I drilled them out to that. Some of them did go through, not but a few, but I pulled it off already, off the, I used a chisel and separated it. You can see she's pretty crusty under there. I'm not doing inner rockers. All I got were slip-on rockers. I got the cab corner. I'm only gonna come up to my cab corner I got comes up to like right here. And I'm only gonna come to here because I don't want to mess with this joint. There's a plastic piece inside the cab corner that goes across here, and I assume there's foam up in here, but I don't know. I don't want to catch a truck on fire by welding up here, so I'm gonna cut it down here. It's solid down here still. It's smooth on the inside. It's solid. It's starting to get a little crusty right here. You can see there's a couple pieces starting to bubble through, but I'm gonna come up another, well, that's another 3 inches above that. And so I'll probably spray it down with something behind before I put it on. Plus I think there's an access panel. Yeah, there's access panels in here. I think I can get to those from the backside. Spray some oil up in there after it's all done and painted and whatnot. Yeah, we're gonna cut away. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut away all where the spot welds were. I'm just gonna take my zip cut and cut like through here. Then I'm gonna slide my new slip-on rocker on there. It'll sit even with this seam here. And then I'm gonna cut both at the same time, I think. I don't know yet. I just don't want it to be a problem where then the door shuts. So I need that seam to be the exact same, that line to be the exact same as where it's at now. So I'm probably gonna put it up there, get a marker and mark it, and then cut. I don't know yet. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. That's the first time I've ever done these. This is what I got. It's pretty good gauge metal, actually. It's pretty thick. Fairly heavy, but I don't know. I'm about ready to give up and just part the truck out, but we'll keep going at it and see if we can't get her back together. Well, I got the old ones cut off. Well, part of them. You can see how gritty those inner rockers are. I'm gonna take a flap disc to them, and if there's anything left of them, I'm just gonna keep on using these slip-on rockers because that's what I have right now. And then in here, my new rocker only comes along this seam, comes down right here, comes across on this joint, and then goes down. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that yet. Probably gonna come and cut it here, cut it along here so I have a smooth, flat seam to weld and sand and body fill if I have to and all that. And then cut it straight down at the end. But I don't want to cut all this off yet until I know for sure, because I can fill those 3 welds back in if I have to and just cut it right here. But I don't want to do that until I find out how crusty it is behind there. It's gotta be pretty bad because all that came out of it. Oh man. Back at it. Well, I know I haven't been filming much, but I've got both cab corners mocked in. They didn't turn out great, but they're better than holes, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I got good fitment there, but not there, like at all. So I'm just trying to hold it together for now until I can stick something behind it and weld it. Those came out pretty good. Like I say, the gaps suck. Sucks to weld this stuff too. It's not like you have anything to work with, and you gotta run the welder real slow. This side I got the rocker panel fabbed in there. I will never do slip-on rockers again. I thought that slip-on rockers were the right size of the regular rockers, but they're actually bigger. They go over the old rockers. I don't know how you're supposed to make this joint smooth. When you put the new rocker over the old rocker, there's a gap there. It's thicker. It's going to hit your door. Your door's going to hit that and not seal as good because it's not going to seal up here as good as because it's going to hit here first. So I just went ahead and cut out the old rockers and put the new ones in. You can see, well, maybe, probably not. Yeah, you can kind of see. There's new rocker in there. And I just put it on there like that. Well, come to find out, the guy ordered me quad cab rocker panels for a crew cab. They're like 12 inches shorter. So I flipped them around backwards and used the driver's side on this side because the rust, like I needed the extra length back here. Like they're supposed to be cut out like this on the back side so you can scab in the cab corner if you like don't buy cab corners, but I mean, I don't know why you would, because it was rusted out back here before it rusted here. But anyway, so I flipped them around because I needed the length and I needed this corner up here without cutting off that piece. So I used that piece up in here. Well, then I get it all fabbed up and it doesn't fit. So, I mean, my gap here is hideous, but I have a piece behind there to weld to. But the actual rocker is like, it was hanging down a 1/2 inch lower right here. I could stick my finger between the old rocker and the new rocker. It was like here, and I could stick my finger in there. So I had to cut a triangle out of this and then like shimmy it up in there, because I can't move the whole rocker up, because you have to have this joint right here, this body line has to be perfectly smooth across. Like you cannot mess with that, because your door's going to shut and it's going to hit it and you're going to see it. Even if you feather out with Bondo here, I'm going to have to feather out like with body filler down here or something, because I don't know, I can see it real bad right now, like real bad. So I don't even know if it's going to work. I may have to cut these out and put like OE style rockers in that go all the way up to this area here. You gotta take the whole interior out, take the carpet out, drill all your spot welds out that are behind these. I don't know, I'm not gonna be able to show you. Oh yeah, I can. So see all these spot welds? They go all the way around. So you have to drill all those out all the way and then plug weld from the back side and then cut your new, like it goes clear up to here and it has these body lines. And you can cut everything out and just fab those in. They're probably honestly faster. It's $500 for those for aftermarket OE style rockers. And these were 100 and these were 100. So you are spending more than double your money, but I think you're also getting more than double your money's worth. So for now, I mean, this truck has got 300,000 miles on it. and it's got other issues besides, like, not issues, but it's 100% stock, so it's got emissions codes and whatnot. And the truck honestly ain't worth pouring a ton of money into. Like, it's got a decently nice interior, but it's nothing special. It's just a Bighorn. So this is what I'm gonna do for now. I'm just gonna fill these in, and I'm gonna hopefully make that look good, or at least decent down there. You shouldn't be able to tell when you're standing right up next to it. Like, if you're within 5 feet from it, like right here, I am about 5 feet away, and you can tell because of the color difference, but you shouldn't be able to tell much, especially when your door opens right here. You're not gonna be able to tell. It's better than what it was. It's better than those. Like, there was nothing left of that. But yeah, here's what I'm showing you on the rockers. They have this little cutout here. I did not do that. It came that way. It's supposed to go on the passenger side like that. Well, I'm putting on the driver's side because I had already drilled out my spot welds clear up to like here. And so I do have a little bit of like surface rust here from rock chips, but it is solid. Like, my rust ended right there. Like, I couldn't have gotten any luckier for what I'm using. I mean, I'm not gonna wait a week and order new slip-on crew cab rocker panels when the stupid things don't even fit to begin with. Because up here, if I do that, I gotta take the fender off, and then it's still gonna be a 1/2 inch. Like, if I do this body line perfect like it's supposed to be, it's gonna be hanging down a 1/2 inch lower down here. So it's gonna be hanging down below the fender line. What the heck am I supposed to do with that? I'm gonna put big old fender flares on to cover it up and make it look halfway decent, and that ain't gonna work. I mean, I already have to fix that. I should probably just go ahead and replace the fenders, but like I said, the truck ain't worth it. So that's gonna get sanded down. That's gonna be carefully sanded down, painted, and then I'm gonna go inside here on the back side, and I'm gonna fill these rockers with like 90 weight. See, what people don't know, well, maybe they know and they don't realize, but see all these little plugs here? These are rubber plugs. Plastic, rubber, whatever you want to call them. You can take those out and that's right through your rocker. And you can fill it, spray it with diesel fuel or oil or anything that lubricates. They make that stuff called, shoot, I don't know. It's some sort of like, it's not an undercoating, but it's like an under treatment. And it's like an oily consistency. And they do it up north a lot. I don't remember. But anyway, up here in the fender wells, if I can get to focus on the dark, see right there? In that fender, I can fill that full of oil, and that should save that fender for at least 2 more years. I mean, I gotta get some life out of it. So that's where we're at. The frame is actually decent. Like, it's got gravel rust, but nothing major. The body itself, like, it's not great, but you can see it's 300,000 miles, and the rust belt really does a number on these things when you don't take care of them. Heck, I had one with 150,000 in it. Didn't even have fenders on it anymore. I'll try to find a picture of that and throw in here. But it seriously, it was a 94, lowest mileage truck I've ever had with 150,000 miles, but it had no fenders left. Like, it was gone. Fender flares would not cover it up. The big, like, bushwhacker style that come up like 4 or 5 inches, they would not cover it up. That's what you get for living in the rust belt. So anyway, this is where we're at. That's what we're doing. I did put the rear passenger door back on, test fitted it, and the body lines match up perfectly. So I'm glad I took my time. I've taken a lot of time actually to do this, but like I said, I've never done this before. And I got this perfectly lined up, this line with this line, as good as I could get, and this line with this line, as good as I could get. I did not cut the old rocker out until I had the cab corner in. Then I cut the old rocker out so that this line here was perfectly where it needed to be for the new rocker to line up to this. Well, that's it for now, so I don't know. I'll try to film more. Well, here we are. I got about a week later. I've been working on it just at night. Got it all filled in and sanded. Still gotta clean it off again. I don't know if these panels are galvanized or what, but they had some sort of something on them. So I sanded them and then I wiped them down, and you can see right there that finish wiped right off into the filler. So I need to wipe that off again. I have no idea what I'm doing. You can see that transition's kind of weird, but it'll turn out okay. Better than some big holes. That's all we're going for in this turd. Got her all taped up. I had some 1mm plastic left over from a roll of something. I don't remember what for, but this side's a little bit worse as far as the transition goes, just because they're slip-on rockers. You can especially see it like right there. But standing back at this angle, you can barely notice it. So I'm hoping it turns out pretty good. Getting ready to wipe everything down again. Scotch-brite it, prime it. Probably wet sand it and then paint it. Probably wet sand again, I don't know. And I got 2K clear in a can. So we'll see how it turns out. The where you get in at the door, right here, is all beat up. I wanted to leave that. 300,000 mile truck. If that looks like brand new, people are gonna be like, "Oh, what'd you do?" I mean, they're already gonna notice that the rocker's been done, but I don't know. I just kind of wanted to leave that. It kind of felt like leaving it more original. But you can see it is brown with, there's like metal flake in it. It's called Rugged Brown Pearl. I don't know. That paint ain't very good. It's all like orange peeled anyway, so I'm really not too concerned. I think I can do a decent job on this. I've got it pretty smooth. I've sanded down with 80, 120, 220. You can feel some variation in it. You're gonna see some creases in it. But I've spent way too much time on this thing as it is. Never want to do one again. So this is what it's gonna get. If I really hate it, and if I end up keeping the truck and I want to future-proof it in a couple years, I can go ahead and put OEM style rockers in. Take out the whole interior. While I do that, I might as well put a Longhorn interior anyway with the leather. Because right now it's just got these ripped cloth. I mean, it's nice, but it's not very nice. So if I keep it and put a whole bunch more miles on it and want to keep it looking good, I'll just put OEM style rockers in. I think they would actually be easier once you drilled out all the spot welds that are in here. I think it would be easier just to plug weld those, and then you only have butt welds like right here and here and back there. Well, your cab corner anyway is gonna have that, but it would be easier as far as filler goes. You would not have near as much filler to work, not near as much sanding. I've got hours and hours and hours of just patching filler back in, sanding down again, patching filler, sanding it back down, all by hand. I think it would just be a lot easier to just to plug weld everything. It would It would be time effective, but I think it would be easier in the long haul. I have no idea how to plastic wrap a vehicle either. I had to use 2 sheets because they're only 9 foot wide. So my excess I just kind of sucked through here. I'm hoping it should stay. I taped around these so that it doesn't fall down into the paint. But like right here is going to be a problem spot. So I'm going to have probably tape up some more. It is way too humid out here too, so I don't even know how painting's going to go, but I got to get it done. The weather ain't going to let up anytime soon, and I don't have AC, so. I've already shot back the floor once. I'm going to do it again in a broader area and get all this. This just came out as, like, look at that. Don't drive on gravel, folks, if you want your trucks to last, because this is what happens. They fill up. That was half full of gravel dust. And gravel got in here. Salt got in here, started spreading. I mean, that's just a gooseneck hitch. It's not like factory spread of the frame, but still. Pretty rough on trucks around here. I bought this thing with 289,000 on it, or 278,000, I think. I think it has 283 on it now. And I'm probably gonna pressure wash the frame and just use some Rust-Oleum in a can with a paintbrush and just brush it on. That seems to last the best around here. That's what I use on trailers. Don't spray it. If you spray it, it's only gonna last 6 months. If you brush it on or roll it on, it's gonna last a couple years. Put it on like 2 coats and it does a pretty good job. Yeah, this is where I'm at. This is probably my roughest area right here. And it's, I don't know. I want to say it's halfway smooth, but it's not. I took a lot more time on the driver's side to get it perfect. This side, like all this is good. Well, I mean, good for somebody who's never done it before and has no idea what they're doing good. But you can see there's some porous spots in there. Right there. Definitely down in here. But this spot is going to get beat up anyway. You're going to have, like this whole side, you can see through the plastic here. That door rubs there anyway. So it's not going to be perfect. Like I say, the truck ain't worth it. So it's lucky it's getting this much done to it. This is what came out of it. So, I mean, you can see there's holes. There's lots. There's the cab corner on the driver's side. Here's the cab corner on the passenger side. It's just junk. And what I put in is thicker than what was there. So everything that is butt welded was pretty tedious because the metal that's on the cab right now is thinner than what I'm putting on. So I have butt welds about every inch. This down here, like I said, you guys remember me cutting the triangle out. When I cut that triangle out, I got this gap wrong. So there was like a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch gap there, and I could not fill it with weld. I even put a piece behind it, and it was still burning through. I had the welder turned down really low too. So I held that together with JB Weld. I mean, it's only a 4-inch section. I did get 3 or 4 welds in it that did hold. Everything else was blowing through. So, I mean, it was still only like 1.5 inch gaps. But I went ahead and filled it with JB Weld. Just to make sure that the filler doesn't crack. Because that filler is not going to hold anything together. It's just there strictly for a smooth surface. I think a lot of people don't realize when they fill in dents and stuff. I mean, I'm just speaking from an aspect of working with plaster. It doesn't last. Like if you do plasterboard in a house or whatever, sheetrock, it does not. You go and you just put the filler in, I can't remember what they call it. plaster, I guess. I don't know. You put that stuff in, joint compound. There we go. When you put that stuff in to fill a crack or to cover a crack or whatever, it don't matter how much you put on there, it will always come back unless you put fiber tape in or some sort of joint tape. So I kind of figured this stuff is the same way. You can fill a crack, but it's not gonna, like, doesn't have any structural capabilities at all. So I went ahead and put the joint or the JB Weld in there, and that stuff should hold pretty good. I know a guy who has a Jeep. It's an old Scamp or something like that, and the block broke on it years back. Well, it cracked, and they JB welded it 10 years ago. He uses it for trail riding and stuff. Takes it out on the road every once in a while. It's never broken again. The JB Weld held, so I don't know. It has its purpose. It has its uses where it can be used efficiently. I'm looking over here. I did not get this sanded very good. I'm gonna have to sand that too, probably, because I can get my fingernail in there. Gosh, I hate this work. So time consuming. I could have had my other vehicle done by now. I've got a truck that I want to swap a different motor into, and I could have had that done in this time that I've spent on this thing. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's a reason body shops charge what they charge, and good body shops that do good work, they deserve the money that they're asking for. If you have any inclination of wanting to tackle this and are not confident in your skills, are not going to be pleased with your skills, like, I could care less. I think this is better than holes, but I am a perfectionist when it comes to a lot of things, and like, if I were to do this for a customer, I would hate it. This is so far from perfect, so far. Like, you can see right here, there's still divots right there that are going to show. For a customer, I would hate that. I could not serve this to anybody. So, but for my own vehicle, for a 300,000 mile vehicle, I mean, when I go to sell it here in a year or so, that's the least of anybody's concerns, probably. It's going to be hard enough selling a vehicle with this many miles anyway, so. Yeah, it's better than what most people here do. I have passed up buying a lot of vehicles because a lot of people around here have filled them with spray foam and filled over them, and that is not acceptable. That'll only last 3 months maybe before it starts poking back through. This is at least all new sheet metal. All the rest is gone. It's just the finished product isn't as nice as factory. So I'll update you guys as I go along when I get it painted. It's something I'm kind of dreading, but the more I talk about it, the more I talk myself into it. It's just a truck. It's just a material object. It doesn't matter that much. Alright, so I've gone ahead and wet sanded everything. For the paint to apply, you can see there, that's like residual from the wet sanding. So now I'll wipe it back down with acetone, because that's what I have. Not sure if that's what you're supposed to use, or if you're supposed to use alcohol or some sort of grease and tar remover or what. I've looked into some different things, but I have acetone. I think that'll work. That's what I've used so far. So go ahead and wipe that down and get ready for primer. Get the acetone put on. Wiped everything down again. Twice actually. You can see where it's sanded, and then that's the 2000 grit. You can kind of see it in there. Oh yeah, You can see where I scuffed it and where I didn't get it quite scuffed on the edge there. So, yep, good enough for me. This is probably where I spent the most time on this thing. A lot of work involved going into all that. And I still didn't get it very good. Like, I feel like it's gonna pop out so bad after paint. But we can only see that once we get there. So I did go ahead and spray the underside of there. Actually, I sprayed, yeah, the back side of the rockers. Let's see if I can get under there. Went ahead and sprayed them black. Just to try to help a little bit with the rust coming back, or not coming back rather. You can see where it's got surface rust up here. Pretty bad surface rust actually. It was, there's little liquid spots down here that were rust that were not there the other day, just from the humidity in here. So I went ahead and kind of sanded everything down before I painted. Just tried to paint the back sides for now, not trying to cover up or hide anything. But once I get everything final coat paint, I'm going to be filling these rockers with oil. And then probably doing something like Z-Bart to the underside. Not Z-Bart, what is that? Or not undercoating, it's a wax. They do some sort of wax. It might be Z-Bart, I don't remember. I'm gonna try to wax the underside or spray it down with WD-40 or something, because you can see like it's solid, but just from the gravel, it's just like a mixture of gravel and salt kills these vehicles. And this one's actually pretty clean underneath compared to most around here. Yeah, so I might try to spray it down or something. I couldn't get all that black out of there. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it doesn't cause problems with the paint adhesion. Those are the last holes that are left. See, these new panels didn't come with these holes. These holes are like every 8 or 12 inches from the factory on the rockers. So you can take those little pieces out and oil up in there. Well, the new ones didn't come with that, so I'm gonna oil them from the back. And then I seen this, there's a dent there. Somehow I missed that before I got done with the body filler. There's one up here too, I don't know. It must have happened in either shipping or out here in the shop. I've got 2 kids that are always running around, so they could have stepped on it when it was laying upside down or something. I don't know. Panels were bent when I got them though too, so it could have been in the shipping. It almost feels like a rock though. Crap, now I gotta wipe it back down. I just put oil on it. I hate this. Well, off to primer we go. Well, here we are after primer. From a distance, it ain't bad. You get real close, you can start to see all my imperfections. You can see the edge of the filler right there. See a line in the filler. You can see that spot I was just talking about not too long ago. You can see everything still. So, yeah, it sucks, but from here, it ain't bad. Like, it ain't great, but it ain't bad. If I would have just gotten the right rockers to begin with, I would have been a lot better off, but it ain't too bad. Heck, this side looks better, and I spent less time over here. Oh, you can still see it. Still looks better, though. This is my worst spot. Right there, that edge. Oh, well. Remember that panel didn't line up at all on that corner? This groove right here. That's because I put a bunch of filler right in here, because it was over about a 3/16 of an inch. So it turned out actually pretty good. So once the door's shut, it'll look good. You can see right there, I got dirt in it. So there's a couple spots I'm going to sand real quick just with some 2000, but overall it's pretty clean. For having a dirty floor, it's pretty clean. I've never done this before, so I don't even know what to do. I guess I have watched a guy paint a Colorado one time, just like a bedside, and they watered down the floor. But I figured then you're slopping around in water and kicking up moisture. I don't know. Not too bad. I'm pretty pleased with it. Well, on to base coat.